We move bees at night because they stay in their hives when the sun's down. Put them in a new place and they spend the first few hours in the new spot, orienting, figuring out where the new hive is, and then that's that. Then they're just there until we move them again. Hives die periodically, so to maintain numbers, I split hives. Specifically the last few years, a lot of my hives have died. I'm trying to split bees to build numbers. When I'm awake and I close my eyes, I see bees, sometimes, or a lot. But when I'm asleep, no. I constantly think about flowers. I constantly think about where individual plant is, where which individual flowers blooming, the weather.
Who wants a honey sample? Okay, yeah, I would. You'll dive in. This is our Chaparral Wild Blossom. This is our summer harvest.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Tasty honey.
Yeah. I can say from our experience why we're here is we love community. My husband started doing honey primarily because he wanted to be his own boss. He wanted to do something that was good and simple and in nature. And he's also a poet. So beekeeping was something that had all those attributes to it. And then we just start growing with it. Like I do the art side of it. And I drew a picture of him as this really handsome, hunky cowboy giving honey to a bear. And here's him as a lonesome poet cowboy on this side. I met Dylan 18 years ago, and I just saw him, and it just like lit me up. I was like, what? I've never seen a man like this before. He went by his own inner compass. He wasn't afraid, you know, we'd go swim out into the ocean, and we'd just like swim out there, and he just wasn't afraid. It was just beautiful to feel like so capable as a human to go out and do things. And he's also a very romantic spirit, and so we got our dreams. We wanted to illustrate kids' books together, and I just was always wanting to have a collaborative, creative partner like that, and just to see like somebody just be like, yeah, we can do this together. Like, let's dream together. I loved it.
I had this idea that I wanted to do 30 things, big things, after I was 30. My dad had said, you spend the first 30 years of your life living it and the next 30 remembering it. And I turned 30 and I realized I hadn't lived, so. At that moment, I decided to get real busy. How did I get into bees? It was the flowers that drew me in. For me, it's about being in nature. It's the wild lands that I work in, that the tempo, going from place to place, the seasons, following the rain so closely. The early rains and the late rains affect the bloom 3-4 months later. The way that day's weather, that week's weather affects each different spot, making decisions where to bring bees to capture the honey at different locations depending on what flowers they have. Beekeeping is about the flowers and following flowers for their nutrition for the bees and for the products that they give us, and they pollinate crops. Season after season couldn't stop coming back. Some rain would come, my adrenaline would start get going, and I just couldn't wait to see what the sage would be doing come springtime. Suddenly in my life, the seasons mattered so much. People always say Santa Barbara has no seasons. Doing bees, it's got 30 or 40 seasons. I was living in Brooklyn, going to school at Columbia to become a doctor. My dad started coming to me in these dreams. Right, he would say. In another he said, Dylan, what's going to happen if you've spent 10 years becoming a doctor and then your calling doesn't stop to be a writer? You're going to waste all that time, really at a crossroads. So I went down the railroad track there and flipped a coin, doctor or writer, give it to me, universe, and writer came up, and I started trying to do a little bit of stuff in LA. It wasn't a good match. And then I started writing some plays, and that was fantastic. Went to New York and Belgium, Scotland, Edinburgh Festival. And then Sydney and I came together and we started doing these books.
When I was 20, when I first met him, we'd always kept in touch, writing letters every once in a while back and forth. We didn't marry until I was 29. We had a whole bunch of life happen before that. I went to school on the East Coast, to art school in Connecticut, and we reconnected and started writing stories. And I was like, all of this is fantastic. He's back in my world. I'm going to make sure I draw him some pictures.
And most of the books began that way. I would send her back the poem, maybe she would do some more images. Over time, we kind of go back and forth. A lot of the stories grow from some image that Sydney's made, and sort of that sparks kind of a story that comes after it. And then she continues and makes all the other images that tell a whole story. This is our first kids book. It's Can You Imagine? It's about a young girl that doubts her imagination, and then the wind takes it away. And she goes on a journey looking for imagination. Of course, it's a very imaginative journey. Scream, that's the thing that makes dreams and does art, the thing that makes me feel happy and smart. My drawings must free me, they must be escapes. Escapes from my life, escapes from my mind, escapes that can take me no one can find. Bringing bees across to the Dakotas and California, all around the country, and selling honey bulk and then pollinating crops. And then we started the farmer's market. And then we started making these honey drinks, meads, hard kombuchas, honey kombuchas. And we ended up opening a tasting room, which the community anointed kind of a center for Santa Barbara's arts and culture and music specifically. We have this magical Tuesday at the farmer's market here on State Street. A lot of the folks from the farmer's market and the rest of the community come here, and it's kind of a merger of nature and arts and music in these beautiful walls. And how it quite happened is magic, and we're really happy to be a part of it.
I think as time just keeps moving forward, it's going to get better and better as things do.
At the time, I was going back and forth to the Midwest with bees and semi-trucks, and so Sydney had sent me this image here. So I wrote this poem. We later had published in the American Bee Journal. This is a beekeeping trade magazine, and it really gave me a lot of confidence and feeling very proud. A beekeeper feels like the lowest rung in the agricultural ladder, but it felt very much like a kind of a cowboy, which I think is sort of the highest rung in terms of romance. For me, a lot of words, they come when the mind is free. And that's just part of our human condition, that stories are flowing through all of us at all times. I didn't come from a multi-generational beekeeping family. I had to find spots to keep bees myself. And the way I did it was going all around in my truck and looking to see where the flowers were blooming and what flowers were where. And then when I found spots that I liked, started talking to the people around. I was running bees from Ventura County up to Santa Barbara and then up to San Luis Obispo County. And I've been really consolidating more and more into Santa Barbara. A lot of beekeepers are very migratory. They move with their bees. People want honey from here. Farmers market's been a real godsend. That's made a huge difference in my life, so I can be with my family more. And that's dignity and a place in the society. Before that, I didn't know anybody who consumed my honey. We don't like cook it, so it has a little bit of texture to it. See these mountains here? It's just all the wildflowers that grow in those mountains.
Oh.
So Sydney, you were the one that initiated the farmers market move?
Yeah. Well, the first time I ever came to Santa Barbara, one of the places that Dylan took me to was the market. It's such a gem of Santa Barbara's. When I came and lived out here, it's like, why don't we sell our honey at the farmers market? And we've been doing it ever since. That's been about 8 years.
It's been a center of our life.
So Dylan, as a man who enjoys his solitude, what does it mean for you to sell here at the market?
It's a great antipode. A bunch of time alone and then just to come out here and meet people. It's like the Greek agora with people talking about philosophy and religion and politics and food and what they're eating, vegan or only meat, or where they've been hiking. What the world has for us, we'll make great out of it. People have been so generous to let me keep bees. Beautiful, remote, pristine wilderness. Places that some of them nobody else goes except me, even the owner of the property in a lot of cases.